You mentioned two things right at the beginning, and you expounded on the concerns of internal competition. What was the second one? Did I miss that totally?
The second one is, you know, the first part is we don't have internal competition. The second one is players have to take a personal pride that they get themselves ready to play every single week, because that's the way that they go about their business and the way we go about their business. You know, and you know, how do you motivate an entire football game team? You know, it's not about giving a great speech before the game. It's the preparation and the investment that goes into every game, that they have put so much into that game from a practice standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, from watching film, from everything they did in the off season, that the thought of ever wasting one of those opportunities never crosses their mind. And to me, when you perform like that on a Saturday, it's you didn't make the investment during the week that's required to win a football game. Because a team that invests a lot into it doesn't show up like that. And that's where we are. That's what happened. And we need to do, obviously, a better job as coaches so that that doesn't happen again. And we have certainly expressed to the players our disappointment with how they showed up and the lack of emotion and energy we played with. And that just cannot happen at Bowling Green. So it's, again, it's really disappointing. You know, we're not going to put our head in the sand and pretend it didn't happen. We're going to take steps to fix it. We're taking it this week. And, you know, we're going to push them as hard as we possibly can, and there needs to be a much better response on Saturday. But again, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, in just listening to Coach Golden at Temple, I mean, he's this week very unhappy with how they played, and there's internal competition and every job is open. That's not an option here right now. Okay, it's not. There is, we are who we are. We're extremely thin, and the guys that we're playing with need to get themselves more ready to play and make more of an emotional investment into what they're doing so that that doesn't happen again.
You mentioned specifically you were going to, or you mentioned in general you were doing things in practice, and one of those being more physical. Are there some specific things that you could tell us?
Last Thursday, you know, typically on Thursdays, we just practice in uppers. And the tempo and speed and intensity of our Thursday practice last week was terrible. You know, we always talk to our team about the team that deserves to win usually does win. You know, sometimes it may come down to a last-second field goal or a lucky break. Most of the time, the team that deserves to win wins the football game. And based on our Thursday practice, you would never say we deserve to win that game. So we're going to go full pads on Thursday. That if they cannot push themselves to practice at the right tempo on Thursday, we're going full pads. Okay, and we're going to make it physical, and we're not going to take a day and say this is a mental prep day, because that's not working.
Thank you.
That was the one question I had. The other is this lack of internal competition. Is there a solution, Dave, besides recruiting?
No, I mean, a lot of the, you know, it is what it is. You know, from the three recruiting classes that make up our current sophomore, junior, and senior class, there's 36 players that aren't here. And you topple that with losing scholarships to APR, and we have a numbers issue. And I am not going to perpetuate the problem by playing freshmen who aren't ready, because then you're just rewarding guys that haven't earned it. You know, we have some freshmen that are ready to play. And they're actually, those guys are playing pretty well. I mean, Tyler Beck at tight end is doing a good job for us. Boo Boo Gates is doing a good job on special teams. Aaron Foster is doing a nice job for us. You know, there are some freshmen that were ready to play and I think earned the right to play this year. You know, but we're redshirting almost all of them because I'm not going to perpetuate the problem of handing a guy playing time that hasn't earned it just because we have nobody else. So, you know, we could stick a freshman in there for 10 plays and falsely generate internal competition, but at the end of the day, you're only hurting the long-term interest of your program by playing that guy, because you're playing a guy, number one, who's not ready, and you're sending them the message that they're playing before they've earned it. And I don't want to do that. So, you know, we're redshirting right now 20 of the 25 freshmen, and a lot of those guys certainly will provide internal competition, and very quickly our numbers are going to be where they should be for a program at this level, but right now they're not. And again, the guys that are playing need to get themselves, and we need to get them more ready to play than we did last Saturday.
You mentioned last week when somebody asked you about hockey, the idea of not blinking.
Mhm.
This sounds like not blink right here for the football coach. Is
No,
this-
I've been through this twice before.
Well,
And,
I'm sorry, what I'm saying is, this is a chance to blink, and you're
No,
steadfast about not blinking.
we're not going to blink. I mean, we're you know, we've reiterated what our expectations are. You know, we expect to be the premier football program in the conference. We are not playing close to a level like that now, and what's worse than that is we're not playing with the effort that is a minimal expectation of what our program should be. And so this week in practice, we have talked very little about who we're playing this week. You know, we know we play a good football program. We know we pick a team that was a bowl team a year ago. We know we play a team that has 20 starters. But at the end of the day, if we don't get ourselves ready, if we don't practice with more intensity, if we don't get better prepared, if we're not it doesn't matter who we play. I mean, we could play anybody, and if we don't get ourselves more ready, we're in trouble. I mean, our effort last week, there's not too many teams in the country we could have beat the way we played on Saturday. And, you know, to do that in a MAC conference game with so much at stake, and a lot of our players all year talked about circling the Ohio game because they had looked at that game last year as a game that kept us out of the championship. I mean, those are just meaningless words. You know, you need to get yourself ready to play, and, you know, it's been a lot of closed-door meetings this week, and, you know, again, we need to get better.
So you've done this twice before, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is, I mean, it's well documented that this is my third head coaching job. And two other places, you know, we certainly went through early struggles, and we maintained a standard, and we didn't blink. And, you know, we're going to make the guys rise up and play to the level and with the intensity that we're going to demand here. And at the same time, we're not going to take shortcuts and do things that hurt the future of our program. We're not going to play a redshirt freshman to generate false competition that isn't really there. You know, those guys need to earn their spot, and if we handed them a job now, it sends the complete wrong message. And, you know, that was ugly, but good things always come out of it. And some of the good things that came out of it is that there are certain guys in our team that, despite maybe not everybody playing with effort, are playing with such outstanding effort that you can put on the film and say, this is what we want everybody to do. And if everybody plays as hard as these guys, we're going to be fine. And I mean, you know, there is enough talent here this year for us to win football games. There is not enough talent that we're going to win just on talent. I mean, this is a team that has to play hard, it has to play smart, that we have to do a great job on special teams. For the first 4 games this year, we were outstanding on special teams. We won the special teams battle every single week. Okay, and to me, that is an indication of attention to detail, effort, guys being unselfish, and we got blown out of the water on special teams on Saturday. You know, that's the one thing that keeps you steady in the boat, is if you have consistent special teams. And that was by far the worst we played on special teams all year. I mean, stupid blocking the back penalties, you know, our return game, punt return and kickoff return for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season was such a major improvement over last year, and we were awful, absolutely awful at kick returns on Saturday. So you give up a touchdown, you have a chance to get momentum back, and we stick our offense with terrible field position. And, you know, those are things that indicate to me that the attention to detail and the focus level was not nearly as, when you have breakdowns on special teams, that's lack of focus. And it's guys just not being unselfish. And we need to be an unselfish football team that's willing to do every little thing to give us an advantage. You know, I really felt for the first 3 games of the season we did that. Saturday we clearly didn't, and that's why this score was over by halftime.
Special teams possibly the only spots where you actually could have internal competition considered?
We do. We're making some switches there, you know, and there are subtle changes that, You know, if you're a backside block on kickoff and you didn't get it done 3 times in a row, we're putting other guys in there. And we're telling them you didn't get it done. It's on film, you had a chance. You know, on special teams, if you're on the kickoff return team, okay, you take pride. Your guy doesn't make the play. You are assigned to a person. He does not make a play. And when a guy continually lets his guy make a play, and you know, there's times it might be an athletic mismatch, and that's not the case. It's just, it's not the effort that's required. And so that is an area that we're making some changes that aren't big depth chart changes. But we're going to see who is willing to do unselfish things to help this football team win.
Coach, you mentioned Coach Golden at Temple being disappointed with his team and coming off a loss. Obviously, they're a good team. Does that make it even more difficult going into a team that's a little upset with itself?
Here's what I told our team at halftime last week when we were down 28-3. I said, I don't even care what the score is. I don't care what the score ends up. When we turn on the second half of that film, I better see guys playing hard. That's it. I mean, nobody can feel good about how they represent themselves there. Just let's not talk about the score. Let's not have all this meaningless chatter about what we're going to do. Just play the next play hard, and then play the play after that hard. And if you do that, some good things may come out of this game. And I would say the only positive that maybe came out of the game is obviously in the second half our offense played much better. We ran the football. We had over 300 yards of offense. Our receivers actually caught the football, which they didn't do the first half. Guys did their job, and we went up and down the field. Now, how much of that was because Ohio maybe wasn't blitzing, and you know, certainly that was a factor in there, but the bottom line is in the second half, our offensive guys did their job. They did their assignment. They blocked who they should block. The receivers caught the ball. We protected, and we did those things, but we didn't do it the first half at all.
So as far as going into Temple facing the team that maybe is a little upset with its loss, do you think about that, or does that play a factor?
No, I mean, I know this sounds very coaching cliché, but it is very, very obvious that right now we are not playing at a high enough level to beat anybody, and so we've got to fix ourselves. We've got to fix ourselves, and that has really been an issue the last 2 weeks. So Temple's an outstanding football team. They are very talented. If you look at the all-MAC defense, half of them are returning starters for Temple. The defensive player of the year, the first team safety, the first team this, the first team that. I mean, there's a reason they were picked to win this league. And I don't think the voting was even close. You know, they're extremely talented on defense. They're physical up front. They run well on the second level. On offense, they're going to pound the football. We haven't exactly been the toughest run-stopping defense this year. I'm sure they're licking their chops right now there, that if there was ever a game that they feel they can get well and do what they want to do on offense, certainly the numbers would indicate this is the week. And we've got to rise up, and we've got to step up and rise to the challenge. And I love this part of coaching. This is a great challenge right now. And as a coach, this motivates you. It excites you. You got a chance to make your football team better and rise up. And you know, there are years that I've coached that you're undefeated and you're loaded. You just win games and you don't even play well. And those are the years that the coach, you really, it's your easiest job. I think your chance as a coach to do your best job is a year like this. That it's not going well and you've got to turn the tide and you've got to work harder and put more into it and spend more time with the players to try to create a momentum shift. And we're trying to do that, and we're going to do that.